So as you may have seen in some of my other videos, I spent a lot of time and effort assembling the perfect bag for me. And I mean, perfect. This bag got me to a plus handicap for the first time ever. But you know what it's like as golfers, perfection isn't enough. You want to fly just a little bit closer to the sun. I geeked out on research, I did a bunch of new fittings, trying to make this bag perfect-er. But unfortunately nothing worked. And you know, that made my wallet happy, but my soul, my soul wanted some new golf clubs. Until suddenly, it happened. All my research and experimentation finally paid off, and I figured out what to do next. Okay, that's a lie. Actually, what happened is I found something on sale, and that kick doesn't matter. I made this better, and that's the key thing we're going to talk about today. And once I found one thing, suddenly I found a whole bunch of other things. Chain reaction. Now I've got this very different new bag for 2025, and it works much better for my reality this year of having less time to practice. So let's talk about it. All the changes I made, some tips I learned along the way. Let's get right into it. Hey, what's up? I'm Madhu. Welcome to the channel. So along with this year's What's in the Bag, I also like to take a moment to celebrate and thank all of you because this channel just passed 10,000 subscribers. Yeah. It is very cool, and I'm incredibly grateful for all of you. Thank you for making this happen. I've learned so much on this journey so far. I met a bunch of really incredible people like you from around the world, and quite frankly, my ego has never been boosted so much, which is just amazing. At home, I mostly refer to myself in the third person now, so yeah, we'll see how long that lasts. In any case, as a thank you for the 10,000 subscriber mark, we have our first ever giveaway this time, and so stick around and we'll be doing that as we go through the video. And with that, let's get into the bag itself. So we'll start with the big dog. Now previously I had a Callaway Rogue ST Triple Diamond 9-degree driver. It just rolls off the tongue. Fantastic driver, loved it, was hitting it super well, or pretty well, until one day I was at a tournament and I met this kid who was hitting his driver like 310, 320, and it was only like 42 inches long. So it was shorter than my 3-wood. But what he'd done is he'd like loaded up the head with a bunch of weight and smooth 310, 320. And I was like, I want that because I get way more control with a shorter driver. So I went to the same shop that he did, local golf shop. It's called Kepler's in Walnut Creek. And I was like, hey, I want what he has. And so before letting me do that, the guy at the shop was wonderful. And you can see the video of me here doing it. He let me hit every shaft in the store that was like right for me. And then I could try all the different driver heads. So we tried those too. And then we tried adding weight to the driver to see what would work best. And the answer after all of this was that I needed to go to the gym because I wasn't generating enough driver speed. So that was depressing. And you know, I did cry while eating my donuts on the drive home. My wife found this hilarious, by the way. It was an interesting conversation when I got home. She agreed with him. So anyway, I worked out a little bit. I did actually make some improvements to my swing, which were more technique oriented. And so I figured out a little bit better technique, I'd get better. And then a sale rolled around. So, you know, obviously I bought a new driver. So it wasn't like completely lack of thought there. I did like this head and the feel of this driver when I tested it out. So there's like some connection to the fitting, right? And actually, I've talked about this previously. Callaway Golf Pre-Owned is a fantastic site. I am not sponsored by them. This is just because I think it's great. And so this is the Callaway Paradigm AI Smoke. Words that go together so nice, I don't get it. Still triple diamond, which makes me feel cool. That's the important thing. This was on sale, I think, for like $260, $270, and I got like $150 trade-in on the old head, or on the old driver, so that was totally worth it. I kept the same shaft, so this is a Ventus 6X Blue. That's the Velocore one, and I love this. This is at 44 and a half inches, which is about an inch-ish shorter than stock. And if you haven't heard me talk about this previously, I don't think anybody should be playing stock shafts because they're too long. So try choking down your shaft and see if you get better everything. Distance, dispersion, the works. I bet you probably will. Most of us do. So anyway, this has been great. Driver technology does improve every year. It's kind of expensive, and but like every 2 or 3 years, yeah, you'll notice a difference. And so I went for this because I wanted more forgiveness, and I got more forgiveness. And I got it in 2 ways. So first, I got it from the head itself because it's much more forgiving. And the second is actually got it from the weights. So what you see on this is you can see some tape and some different color weights. So what I did is I went to Amazon and I bought some Callaway aftermarket weights. They were like 15 bucks, 20 bucks. They weren't that much. And so when I got this, I experimented with different weights in it to see what it felt like. Now, if the head gets too heavy, then your shaft starts acting differently. So I wanted to test all that out. And then actually the black tape you see here is tungsten tape. I have some folks in the family, and you know, everyone's sensitive to lead. It's not good for you, and you know, licking lead all the time, not the best, which is basically what I do on the course. So decided instead to use tungsten. And then so effectively I went to the range for couple of days, tested out tungsten tape on different places. And what you'll see is I ended up with tape on the heel, which helps me close the face a little bit faster. I also have it on draw bias, which helps me close the face a little faster because I tended to leave it open more often. And then this is, for me, this helped me kind of widen the sweet spot for me a little bit. So that was really helpful. And I noticed I moved it back and forth to see which worked best. And so this is where it worked best. So wherever it worked best, I put some electrical tape on it just to kind of hold it in place. And it's done really well. I haven't changed this in, I don't know, a few months. It works pretty well. I kind of have to push down every so often, but it's pretty good. So one big thing I learned this year was about weight distribution. I highly recommend it if you have the time. Just get some lead tape if you really want to, although I prefer not. But tungsten tape, you can buy from Amazon and just go try it out. Take a couple of range sessions, hit it a few times to see what feels right, and maybe you will end up with more distance without having to go to the gym. So that's my new driver. I'm pretty happy with it. And on it, I have my Upbeat Headcover, which I talked about previously. And as you probably have heard me say before, or if you haven't, I'll say it now. I think everything on your bag or in your bag should make you feel good. And so get head covers that make you feel good. Maybe it's a course that you really like. Maybe it's something that's custom to you. So for me, I have the Upbeat head cover with my little mantra on it: breathe, strut, and believe. Breathe is good for your biochemistry. Strutting is actually also very good for your biochemistry. And it is, in my opinion, it's the first lesson that I teach whenever I coach people, is to just walk tall, because it really helps your biochemistry, helps you play better. And I've actually also made a video about it, so I'll link it here. It is the most underrated video, I believe. Whenever I talk to somebody, it's the first lesson. So if you have some time here, I recommend checking that out. It will instantly improve your game. So I make sure I tell myself this on every shot. And then also believe, because, you know, you're more likely to have a better outcome if you believe than if you don't. So this works well for me. And speaking of head covers and the things that they cover, let's move on to my 3-wood, which is also a sale item that I bought. So, you know, again, this was actually deliberate. I do put some thought into buying these things. They're not just like willy-nilly. This is also a Paradigm AI Smoke because, yes, it was on sale and I got a great trade-in deal. So previously I had a Callaway again, but a Maverick. This is, again, it's more forgiving. The head weight is actually the same as the old one, so I could reuse my exotic shaft from the past. So again, this one I think cost me even less to upgrade, like it was like $100-ish, maybe less, which is fantastic. And so this is the 3-wood. It's a Paradigm AI Smoke triple diamond again, feel cool. 3-wood at 15 degrees. This one I have set up neutral, and I did try with different weights, with different tape, all that, to see if this would get better. It didn't work that much better for me. I actually liked it in the stock condition, so this is what I use. Works really well, so I'm very happy with it. And on this one, I'm a New Zealander, so I have a New Zealand flag. And this one I had made custom because I couldn't find any good head covers that I liked. So same company, More Golf on Etsy. Check them out down below. I don't get any kickbacks or anything. It's just, I think it's great. And, you know, support someone on Etsy. It's great. And next, let's talk about long irons. So previously, I had my entire set was these Callaway, or Callaway. Callaway's on the mind now. Not sponsored. So these are TaylorMade P7 MC irons. I don't know if the focus will pick them up. Maybe, maybe not. Oh, there you go. So this is my 3-iron. As you can see, it is a little bit thinner than your average butter knife. And I actually love these. They were fantastic. You notice I'm saying feel amazing. They actually are more forgiving than they look. And so they were great until I realized I was A, not getting as much distance as I wanted out of them, and B, I wasn't hitting them as consistently as I needed to, especially since I'm not able to practice as often as I used to. So now I practice like somewhere between 0 and 1 time a week, which is not a lot. So what I did was I went and tried to get fitted for long irons, which nobody does. I tried calling a bunch of different places and they all said, you can come and get fit for standard irons because that's all we got. All the companies, they send them either a 7-iron or a 6-iron that you can modify the shaft on easily. And then you get fit for those and then hopefully it works out. So that's how most people tend to fit combo sets, but that's how I got fit for these, right? So I wasn't really sure about this. So instead I found a shop that had a whole bunch of used clubs, like tons and tons of used clubs. And again, it was the same shop, Kepler's in Walnut Creek out here in the Bay Area. And so I went there and they were fantastic. I ended up trying a whole bunch of different long irons from different sets. And the thing is, they're not going to be ideal, right? So for this fitting, I didn't get to try, like my favorite shaft, or the shaft I use in my irons, is a Nippon Modus 120X. Very few of them had this. But those guys know so much about clubs that they got me some ones that were like close-ish. And they were close enough that I could get a feel for the head and see how like forgiving they were, how they felt overall. And so I tried a bunch of different ones. I didn't get to try all of them, obviously, but I'm okay with that. I'll live. I tried a bunch of Titleist ones, some TaylorMade ones, some Strixon ones. I think I tried some Mizunos. So I tried a bunch of different ones. And then the other great thing about a local golf shop is they let me take some home to demo. So I tried the Titleist T150, the T100, and the T200 at home, and I landed on, this is the 4-iron. I ended up upgrading my 4-iron and 5-iron to the T150. And the reason for that is because I needed the extra distance. I'm playing a lot of like longer par threes, and I want to have like, more consistent approaches into some of the longer shots. So, trying to like wail on those shots to get them there, not ideal. So I landed on the 150s there. And then for the 3-iron, which effectively I'm not really caring too much about workability, I just want to move it in that direction, I got the T200, which is a beautiful club. It almost felt like cheating the way that I was hitting this. And it's great. I'm a huge fan. I also got some distance out of it. So the thing about the P7MCs is the lofts are a little bit weaker. So I had to like really lean on this 3-wood to get it anywhere past like 210, 215, versus this 3-iron. And this 3-iron, the T200, I regularly, like, it's very easy for me to hit this 225. My regular kind of target for this is 230, which is amazing. And given that par threes are getting longer and longer, it's really important. And you might ask why I don't have like a 7-wood or a 5-wood or something like that. And it's because where I play, there's a lot of wind. So it doesn't really make sense for me to have like higher launching clubs. I actually want ones that are a little bit low, more piercing, which is why I stick with this. So the only ones I upgraded were the 3, 4, and 5. So my 6 through my pitching wedge are still my TaylorMade P7MCs, and they're great. So my stats from my Arcos sensors showed, I'm at a 0.5 right now, handicap, but I compare my strokes gain stats to a +3 because that's my target, it's where I want to go. And so my stats show that my approach game is actually pretty good. It's better than a 0 handicap, and so I'm moving in the right direction. So I decided to stick with these. There was a minor issue in that, and this is another lesson I learned, is about gapping. So minor issue in that my 5-iron now goes about 200 on like a good normal shot, and my 6-iron goes like 175, 178, real precise here, 78. It goes like 175-ish, 180 if I really lean on it, hit it well. And so I've got this 20-yard gap, which is often a problem if I'm trying to hit like a 180, 85 shot. So what I did was I had these bent a little bit stronger, like 1 degree stronger, but it did not work for me. It was like, when you bend a club a little bit stronger, it changes the effective bounce on the bottom, so it feels different. It feels a little sharper. At least to me, the feel is a little more sharp when I'm hitting the ball. So for right now, what I'm trying to do is learning how to hit what I'm calling a 5.5 iron, which is a choke down 5-iron that I can hit like pretty comfortably, like 185. So still working on that. And to be fair, given how forgiving the irons are, the Titleist ones, I might just, suck it up, and my ego will probably not like it as much, but my ego does like having low scores. I might end up getting some more forgiving irons. I really like the T100s. We'll see. Now that I'm talking about it, the odds of it happening are quite high because usually when I talk about it, somehow it just tends to happen. But hey, anyway, 2 things that I learned there. 1, get clubs that are forgiving for you, and 2, when you're changing lofts, you're trying to bend things weaker or stronger, definitely note that there's going to be a change to bounce, and that bounce might change how the club overall feels. Anyway, with that, let's move on to wedges. I've got my gap wedge, and all 3 of these are actually the TaylorMade MG4 milled grind 4 wedges. So my gap wedge is a 50 degree. Speaking of bending, this is a 50 degree that I've bent to 49 degrees because I needed the extra distance. I just was not hitting it far enough. And that's a swing problem. That's my problem. I wasn't leading into it enough. So I'm working on that. But in the meantime, just like, make your clubs do what you need to do. And so it did reduce the bounce a tiny bit, but it has 9 degrees of bounce to start with. So I was okay with that. So basically every degree you make it stronger, you're going to give up at 1 degree of bounce. So now it's a 49 with 8 degrees of bounce. It's fine. It works well for me. So I hit this one probably 115 on like a good normal shot. Previously, when, without this, I was hitting it like 105, 110, which wasn't great because my sand wedge goes like 95 to 100. Now, the one other big thing I think we can talk about here is on the wedges for your sand and lob wedges. So I've got like I said, the TaylorMade MG4, but both my sand and lob wedges are the Tiger Woods grind, which I think is a huge deal. And I've had these for a while. So previously I had the MG2 for my sand wedge, and then I moved up to the MG4. With the lob wedge, I had the MG2, then like 2 or 3 MG3s. Now the MG4, I'm waiting for the next ones because I think they're wonderful. And so one thing just I learned here, we'll share with you guys, is on bounce. So everyone tells you to consider wedge bounce, very important. However, with all the grinds that we have going on these days, bounce is no longer like a static thing. So for example, This is probably the best one to see it on. This is the 56 degree, and it says it's got 12 degrees of bounce. But if you look at the sole, you'll see there's like so many different bevels on the sole. And so actually the bounce varies depending on how you're setting the club down. So the cool thing about these Tiger Grind wedges is that actually when the leading edge sits really flush to the ground. It's actually very similar to, I have a Vokey, this is my old Vokey low bounce, like 60 degrees with 4 degrees of bounce. And so actually my 11 degree Tiger Grind wedge sits very similarly to my my 4 degree Vokey low bounce wedge, just because of the grind and the way that it sits. So when you're getting a new wedge, my suggestion, not that he asked for it, but in case it's interesting, my suggestion is definitely to try a bunch of different grinds instead of just focusing on like what the bounce number is, because the shape of the grind at the bottom will actually determine how the club performs for you. So yeah, and another key point is all of my clubs, including the wedges, have the same shaft, which is the Nippon Modus 120 X Flex. I found it to be a really key thing. I've tried wedges with different shafts and they just felt totally different. So they feel way better to me with the same shafts as I have in my irons. Your mileage may vary, but just my 2 cents here. And then since we're still talking about these clubs, finally, and you'll notice I'm having some trouble getting the clubs out of this bag. I did recently switch. So previously I used to have these Lambkin Crossline mid-size grips, which are great. I learned how to grip my clubs a little while ago, like 15 years ago. And since then, I've re-gripped my clubs about 6 to 7 million times. So I've tried all the different sizes, and mid-size is the right size for me. But when I got my Titleist clubs, they came with a different mid-size grip. They didn't have that one. So this is the Golf Pride Tour Velvet flat cap mid-size. So it's a little bit thicker on top. And so they're sticking a little bit in the bag, but it's great. I love it. It's a little bit soft, tiny bit softer than the Lambkin, and I really like it. So I'm testing these out for a while, and so far so good. And before we stop talking about wedges, just in the past, I've always gotten like new wedges every year. This year I didn't, because I noticed that part of the reason I wasn't getting the spin that I wanted was my technique. And so I basically like started working on better technique to hit down the ball more, get more spin. If you were thinking about getting a wedge fitting or getting a new wedge or whatever, I highly recommend also checking on your technique a little bit, because if your wedge is like fairly new, like 1 to 2 years, you're probably getting enough spin. Some people aren't. Maybe you're really good and you need a new wedge every 2 rounds like Tiger does. But for the rest of us, maybe there's a little bit of technique involved. But also I'm going to get a new wedge once the MG5s come out, which hopefully will be soon. So balance, right? You gotta keep the soul happy with the new clubs as well as working on the technique. And while we're talking about fitting, I highly recommend, at least for me, what I've learned this year is support your local golf shop. We need more of them to stick around versus being taken over by all these big box stores. And they're great. The fact that they let me demo these clubs, the fact that they stayed with me the whole time, while I was getting the fitting, both fittings went for over the hour that I paid for. And so I'm really grateful, and they're very, very helpful. And I'm a big fan. It's a long drive for me to get out there. It's actually like 45 minutes to an hour each way, but they're a great shop, and so I'm happy to support them. So go support your local golf shop. I think it's a great call. With that, let's move on to the moneymaker. So if you watched one of my videos last year where I talked about how to suck less at putting and how a piece of paper completely changed my putting, you might remember that what I talked about was I used to just like buy new putters every time I had a problem, but buying a new putter is not the answer. It's better to actually like do a quick analysis and figure out like what is the problem. Are you missing short, long? Is your green reading that's the problem? Is it your stroke that's actually the issue? Is it, there's a lot of other stuff. And so it's important to like do that, and that's what we're really actually changing. So I went and bought a new putter. So this is the Cleveland HB Soft, the Huntington Beach Soft number 8. And there's a good reason for this. I went on vacation last year and I played golf with my buddy who taught me how to play many years ago. And so he's a club fitter and his clubs are like super heavy. He's got tape all over them. So I kind of tried not to lick them too much as I can read the lead tape. So he was like, don't use my putter. It weighs like 7 kilos. So I borrowed his caddy's putter and I made everything. It was amazing. So unfortunately, I could not fit in my luggage on the way back, but as soon as I got back, I bought that putter. And so not like a super fancy brand name or anything, but man, this thing works. And so this is different to the putter I used to use previously. So previously, and I still have this one, it sits on my putting mat downstairs and I use it all the time. So previously I had the Karsten TR, the Ping Zing Karsten TR. The TR stands for True Roll, which is basically these like scoring lines on the front. And it's a wonderful putter. One thing you'll notice is the neck. So when you're getting a putter, get one that like fits your stroke. This is a strong arc neck. the ping one. And then this one is, it's called a plumber's neck, and this is a slight arc. And I'm more of a straight back, straight through guy, so slight arc works better for me. And just, I think the wider flange, I guess, the wide width of this putter also makes it easier for me to just move it back and forth, which is fantastic. So I'm a huge fan of that. And yeah, so this putter has actually made me a much better putter inside 10 feet. And I know there's some people, myself included, who don't like the steel faces on putters because it just feels too hard, especially for me. I grew up on like the Odyssey 2 ball, and so it had the inserts. I'm used to like feeling fairly soft hit on the ball. The thing that's interesting is if you're getting any putter that's got scoring lines across the steel face, it will soften that impact anyway. So don't just overlook it. Take a look at the ones with the scoring lines. The other interesting thing about this putter is this grip. So previously, it had like the standard grip on it, and I used to have this ping pistol grip, which is Tiger's old grip, and I thought therefore it was the best thing ever. But I like experimenting, and so I experimented with this one. This is the even roll gravity grip. And what's really fascinating about this one is it's different to all the other grips I've tried in the past. This has a steel rod. It's a 70-gram steel rod that runs along the back of this. It takes a little getting used to, but once you do, I find it actually like holds my hands really nice and stable as I'm going through. So it's easier to putt with. It was like definitely a period where I had to like learn how to use it, but absolutely, totally worked. And it's so good because I like experimenting. It was so good, I bought 2 spares, or if I ever wanted to go and experiment with some different grips, I'd be able to do that and then get back onto these. So that was really helpful. So if you're thinking about changing your putter, but you're not sure about buying a new one just yet, try switching to a different grip. So there's this one, and then I also have my previous Spider FCG putter, which I also loved. But there's times field changes, all that stuff. I'll probably come back to this at some point. And so on this one, I'm trying this even roll tour tag. It's like a little bit wider pistol kind of grip, and I hate this. This is the worst. I don't know why it's still on here. I'll probably take it off this weekend and put like a standard pistol grip on it. I have a few of these. When they're on sale, I buy 2 or 3 because I know I'll always come back to them. But yeah, experiment, see what happens, because the width of the grip also changes how the putter feels in your hands. And speaking of more things to make you happy, this is a putter cover I got from one of the best rounds I've ever played. So I played a round. It was actually a US Open qualifier at the Preserve, which is in Carmel Valley. I did not qualify, otherwise you would have seen me on TV, but you probably wouldn't have. I would have been one of the less known people. So I got this putter covers. I played a fantastic round, and I did really well based on my own expectations, better than I had planned to aim for. And so I got this to remind me of like doing really well under very tough conditions on like a big stage. So yeah, positive associations, right? It's the key. And so as we're rounding out the rest of the bag, the other thing left in here is another kind of positive association, which is this is my head cover for my alignment sticks. And really the only reason I have the alignment sticks is for this head cover. I'm just kidding. But it is a wonderful cover. This is from Pasatiempo, which is another course down here in California. I love this logo. It just makes me really happy. And what a great name for a course, Pasatiempo. Kind of awesome. So alignment sticks are very useful. In case we haven't talked about this previously, just look at the range for all pros. Every one of them has an alignment stick. There's a reason they're still using them. So we shall add it too. I think it's a good idea. And since we're talking about what's in the bag, let's also talk about the bag itself. So see how easily I picked that up? Who needs to go to the gym? Not this guy. This is the Vessel VLX 2.0. It's actually not that heavy, but it's an amazing bag. I've had this now for like 2 or 3 years. It's been a little while. I haven't found a better bag. I continuously look for a better bag. I have not found a better one. It's perfect for me. The water bottle pockets you see on the back here. These are the perfect size to hold a Nalgene, and I have 1.5 liter Nalgenes that I use. So it works perfectly with me. I also don't like a lot of logos, and there's very little logo on this bag. So it makes it perfect. Fairly easy to carry. I carry a lot more these days because I find that I play better generally when I carry my bag. I think maybe because it warms my body up more or something. I don't know. And I sleep better the next night because I'm guessing I'm a little bit more tired. And I've also found that by carrying my bag, I build more endurance over that time. So when I'm playing tournaments and I use my electric cart, then I don't get so tired over 18 holes because it's a really easy walk for me since I'm not carrying a bag. And if you're looking at buying a new bag, I know you'll probably notice the big thing that stood out for me was this thing weighs like a pound more roughly than the other bags out there, especially the super light ones. It's like 2 pounds more than the super light ones. It hasn't really made a huge difference for me. It might for you. I don't know. Your mileage may vary, but for me, it hasn't made a huge difference. So I'm a giant fan of this bag. I'm going to stick with it for a long time. And on that, also another thing that makes me feel good is this towel. I have this tie-dye towel. So little things keep boosting up that positive mental energy and getting us to a really good spot when we're on the golf course. So with that, let's talk about accessories. So first, my rangefinder. And I love this guy. I've had this for like 6 or 7 years now. It is the Garmin Z80 or Z80, depending on what part of the world you live in. The new one's called the Z82. But this is amazing. It is expensive. Yes, it is absolutely worth it to me. It's got GPS and like a little screen inside. So it actually shows you the layout of the hole. And so with one click, I can actually see not just like the distance of the flag, but the front of the green, back of the green, hazards, all that stuff. And that saves me a lot of time, makes me not have to look 4 different apps. So very worthwhile for me. Check it out online, see what works for you. And then moving on to other core accessories. I've talked about this in the past. This is a groove cleaner. It's like $1. They're really cheap. I usually buy 8-pack of these for like $8, $10, something like that. And they've got 3 different tools. I really only use this one, which is the steel brushy thing. And yeah, I always have one of these in my pocket. It's much easier than me having a brush on the bag and having to walk back and forth, whatever. So huge fan of these. I've got links down below if you want to check them out. Other things, tees. I like tees that make me happy. Like I said, you might have noticed the theme is I generally like things that boost my ego and make me happy. So, because on the golf course, you know, there's plenty of things that are lowering all that confidence. So let's balance it out a little bit. So for me, these currently are these USGA tees. These are tees I got playing USGA events, and they make me very proud because I used to not be good at golf at all, and I worked really hard, and then I got good enough to be able to play in these tournaments. So when I take these out, they make me feel good. So similarly, I hope you can find ones that make you feel happy. Obviously, it doesn't have to be a tee. Maybe from a nice country club that you went to. I'm just like everybody else. Whenever I go to a nice country club or a USGA event, I grab a bunch of tees, and then I use them to make myself happy later on. The other biggest accessory I think we all use is golf balls. So I have tried a bunch of different ones, and I always come back to the curly ones. This is not an ad at all. Like I have tried so many other ones. I actually wanted to not have a Pro one. I was like, oh, the other ones have to be good. These guys just have kind of domination because of marketing or whatever. But no, that's not actually for me. That's not what I found. So I switched to like the Bridgestone Tiger balls for a while. These just they're more stable. They feel better. I feel like the ball goes farther, lands better. I just like feel better when I'm playing it. And maybe it's a placebo effect. I don't think so. I've tried the Pro V1X because I mean, I'm like, well, maybe I'll get more spin. Like, pros use them, etc. Not better for me. So these are really good. And then speaking of accessories that make you feel good and our giveaway, I got some of these and I got them with the Upbeat Golfer logo. So speaking of making yourself feel better on the course, I've got these. And so these are the inspirational ones, which have a logo and inspirational piece there. You know, still talking about strutting is so important. I do want to talk about it regularly. And then I've got some also inspirational, but inspirational in a different way. So more Upbeat Golfer ones. And these ones are a little bit different, a little more hilarious and just fun. And I think these are fantastic. You know, be an artist, not a gorilla. Very valuable. So speaking of our giveaway, we're going to do a giveaway as a thank you to all of you for us hitting the 10,000 subscriber mark. I'm going to give away a box of these, so 4 sleeves, to 4 lucky commenters. So you have to comment to be in it, otherwise I don't know who you are. But I'm going to split it up, so I don't want you to be pressured into like trying to make like the best, coolest comment ever. Though if you do feel like you want to do that, that is also cool. So we'll give 2 away to random comments. I'll just pick them at random. Obviously, hopefully you're subscribers too. That's important. And then 2 to my favorite comments. And so leave them down, leave these comments down below in the next week. So a week after this video launches, I will pick 4 people and I will reach out to you to say thank you for some golf balls. I really like these. I'm a big fan. If you have an opportunity to get your own, you know, golf balls with names and stuff on them, go ahead. I mean, I found it generally, because I use other golf balls too, ones that don't have logos on them, and these ones just generally make me feel better. And with that, let's talk about 3 other things that make me feel better and have really massively improved my golf game. And so I wanted to share them with you. So the first is, and I've talked about this previously, is getting a massage gun makes a huge difference, especially as you get older. In the morning, all of my muscles don't wake up the way they used to when I was 17. And so this is huge. In literally like 2 minutes, I can get most of the key muscles warmed up. The real value of that is the wrong muscles aren't doing the job. So a lot of that lower back problem, you know, that we all tend to have basically is often when your lower back is doing the work that your bigger muscles are supposed to be doing. So with this, it wakes up all those muscles for me, and I have noticed a significant difference in how well I play when I do a quick like 1 to I kid you not, like 1 to 2 minute warm up with this versus not. And speaking of warming up the back muscles, this is money. So this is the Hyper Ice Venom 2 back. I don't know why it's called Venom. I don't see any fangs. Does not bite you. But boy, it's amazing. So initially I thought it was kind of gimmick, and then I saw Ricky Fowler wearing one, and I was like, let me go try that. Advertising works, people. That's how it is. So I'm gonna put this on right now and just show you how it works. It's really easy. You put it on, and then you push the button, and then it does the work. So you turn it on, and it massages your lower back, and it also has heat, and it gets really hot. So there's 3 settings. I only run on the first setting. It gets like legit hot. So what I use this for is in the morning on my way to the course, I'll put it on before I leave the house, and then I'll use it in the car. And the cool thing about the car is when you lean against the seat, it intensifies the massage. So this is really valuable because it wakes up my back muscles and kind of calms them down a little bit. And it's been tremendously helpful, especially for when I'm playing at a course that's farther away. So there's some courses that are, you know, like an hour 15 away, 2 hours away. And you know, your back gets kind of stiff sitting in the car the whole time. So this is really helpful. I put it on when I first get in the car, and then I turn it back on when I'm like 20-30 minutes from the course. And then the other big part is I use it after the round, and I cannot believe, I don't understand how it works, but it has made a huge difference in my recovery after the round. So this thing is magic. I make sure it's always charged. After the round, I used to get home and I'd be stiff and I kind of hobble around for a little while. No more. So now I put this on in 20 minutes in the car on my way home, and my back is great. So something, it works. It's magic. So I'll put a link down below. This is the Hyper Ice Venom 2 back. Absolutely magic. And then the final thing I'll throw out here, which I think is amazing, is more things that make you feel happy. And for me, these are not golf related, but golf related. And they're Nike ID shoes. So they're just like skateboarding shoes. But what was cool is you could put your name on them. And so we may have talked about this in one of the other videos, but the identity you have on the golf course is a huge deal. So if you have an identity that I'm not a good golfer, or I always mess things up, whatever, it's probably going to hurt your game. It's not going to take you anywhere good. Versus for me, the identity I have on the golf course, thanks to also having a YouTube channel about it, is the Upbeat Golfer. Not the Beat Up Golfer, the Upbeat Golfer. So because I have that identity, I don't get that angry. And if I do get angry about something, I process it real quick and I move on. And so I got somebody that helps me reinforce that. So these ones say the Upbeat Golfer on them, and they make me feel really cool. And as you can tell, the entire theme of everything we're talking about is making me feel cool. So yeah, so find things. I mean, it could be something like this. Maybe there's other things you can find that make you feel really cool. And use them. Use them to create a strong identity and play well. And speaking of playing well, as I mentioned, there's 3 core parts of the swing that you really want to get going well. You want to play well. And I recently made a video about actually using them in your warm-up. So check out that video here on how to integrate those things as you're warming up. It's just a 30-ball warm-up, easy thing to do. And it'll help you get yourself in a really good spot with your favorite bag and play a better round next time you're out there. So thanks for tuning in. It's great to see you here. Thank you again for the 10,000 subscribers. I'm super happy. If you haven't subscribed, I'd love it if you would. And obviously leave me comments and stuff so you can get in for the giveaways. So it'd be great. Anyway, thank you. This has been super fun. See you next time. Bye. So along with this, here's I'm thinking of Star Trek. This is why am I thinking about Star Trek while trying to film this video? That is, I mean, it's a really awesome show, but if this is Star Trek Strange New Worlds, fantastic. Absolutely highly recommend it. But I probably should be focusing on filming this. All right. Okay. Let's try that again.